Welcome back to the TED Takeout. This is episode 120. I am Mindy Carney, and I'm joined today by official co-host Gina Rogers.
Hello.
Hello. So we're going to do something a little bit different today and kind of exciting. This is really your brainchild.
I love a good competition.
Yeah, you also like a theme.
I do too. Love that.
Yes.
Love a theme.
Yep.
Love competition.
Yep. So in the spirit of March Madness, and I'm sure you've heard of the Iowa women's basketball team, Go Hawks.
Yay.
Our digital learning team is made up of all women currently, and so we really always celebrate Iowa women's basketball. And so we wanted to take this idea of bracket play into the AI world and have come up with 4 different categories for AI tools. And then within those 4 different categories, we've chosen 2 tools that we feel fall into this category so that we can match them up against one another.
Yes.
And to compare these 2 tools, we came up with 3 different kind of, facts that we wanted to share about them. One of them is what the cost of that tool is, what, if any, integrations that tool has. So does it integrate into Google? Does it integrate into, what else is there besides Google?
Like an LMS.
Thank you, Gina. Yes, right. And then also kind of just the ease of use once that first output has happened. So when I look at it, how much revising and messing with it do I need? Mm-hmm. Okay, so then one of us has to concede. We decided one of us is going to have to give in, and then the other one will win. We're going to be really unbiased.
Yes. Very unbiased.
Mm-hmm,
and
right.
we will be very cordial to one another.
Yes, of course we will.
There will be no trash talking.
Okay. Yeah. And then after that, so we'll take the winners, and for the next episode, we'll look more closely at the tools that have won and get more in-depth about a more in-depth analysis of those tools and share more things about them. Mm-hmm. And then our final episode, we'll kind of do like an overview of those tools and then decide who actually wins the AI March Madness bracket.
Yes. So you can expect to see us in your feed for the next 3 weeks.
Right.
And hopefully on Monday of the next 3 weeks.
If everything falls into place on the calendar.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess we'll start with our Elite 8.
Yeah, and should we talk about our categories?
Yes, sure.
Yes.
So our first category that we're going to share today is productivity in communication.
Okay. All right, so you ready?
First? Yes, yeah, you go first.
No, you are first, I think.
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay.
So I have this tool that I actually use quite a bit. It's called Ghostwrite, and it's actually through ChatGPT. But what I like about it is that it integrates right into your Gmail. It also goes into Outlook and Zendesk. I'm not a Zendesker. I don't really know what that means, but it also, you can just compose emails within Ghostwrite Online. The cost for that is free. You get 15 emails a month. If you want unlimited email generation, it is $10 a month. And the way this kind of works is that it's built into your email composer. So if I'm using my Gmail, it kind of shows up right inside that Gmail composer. I choose my tone, the style I want it to be, the length. What I have found with this tool is that I really need to revise very little. I think it creates really great emails based on the input that I put in. So I'll tell it kind of a little story, about who I want to email and what the circumstances of this email are. And I think it's really fantastic. A lot of times I'll just copy and paste it right in and maybe make a few little tweaks to make it sound a little bit more like me. But I think this is a really great tool.
Okay. So going head to head against Ghostwrite, we have Goblin Tools.
Okay.
So Goblin Tools is free to use.
It is.
It has a bunch of different types of tasks that it can complete. Like it has a compiler, it has a tool that will break down something complex into smaller steps.
But you're going to save those things for when this tool actually wins.
Yes, I
Yeah,
know.
don't
So I'm not.
don't cushion the pot here.
Okay,
Tell what it
okay,
does
okay.
with
So
productivity.
with productivity,
Okay.
and specifically with regards to email, it
Okay.
does provide you the option to class up or formalize
Right.
an email that you have written. Now, here's the deal with that: is that you have to have something already composed
Yes.
that you feel like isn't super formal.
Needs a little help.
Needs a little help, needs to be classed up a
Yep.
little bit, needs a makeover.
Yep.
And then Goblin Tools will take care of that. However, I do feel like having to do that initial just thinking and putting down what I want that email to say, it does make it a little less user friendly. Also, your options for the output are that you can copy and paste or you can download what's been created, but it doesn't integrate directly into Gmail or any of those other options that you listed before. So Zendesk doesn't integrate into Zendesk.
Man, it's just not fair that there isn't more that integrates into Zendesk, to be honest, just out in the world in general.
I think, well, honestly, I think people that do more like help tickets and things like that use Zendesk.
Okay.
We don't.
We don't know. No, I don't even know what that means, but yes, okay. Sounds good. All right, so what do you think? I mean, we both know these tools fairly well. The only thing I would say is that you kind of alluded that Goblin Tools does have other functions besides just emailing. So is it worth it to you to to push it in knowing that there's more to it than just emailing?
You mean advance it through the bracket?
Yeah.
My personal experience has been with the other functions on it that they're good starting points, but there might be some additional need to revise them and whatnot. So I would probably say let's not
Oh, are you conceding?
advance Goblin Tools.
Okay.
I am conceding to Ghostwrite.
Okay. So one thing I would say about it is, I mean, our category here is productivity and communication. Because Goblin Tools does have other functions to it, I think it's worth a look. If we're going to send it off, let's send it off well. I do think that what's great about it is that it doesn't have an age restriction to it, so you can use it with students. Younger students can use it. So for certain, take a look at it if you have not used it before, because there are kind of some fun aspects to it.
Yes.
Okay.
But we are advancing.
Ghostwrite.
Yes.
Okay.
In the productivity and communication bracket.
Okay, so do I get like a tally mark or something, or is that not how this works? Are we keeping score for the two of us, or?
I didn't know it was a competition between both of us. I thought it was
It's
just
always a competition.
competition for the most dominant AI tool.
That's fine, but I'm keeping score. Okay. Next category up is lesson planning. Did you want to go first this time?
Sure.
Okay.
So the tool that I am bringing to the court today is CurryPod.
Okay.
And so CurryPod is a freemium tool, meaning that you will get some uses out of it for free. But to get its full functionality, the teacher plan is $750 per month. They also have some options for a school district license that goes up to $4,000 a year.
Right.
But that's for every teacher within your district. Integrations, as far as does it integrate with G Suite or does it integrate with an LMS? No, the way that you share the lessons that are generated in CurryPod is through a link sharing to your students. So what this tool does is that basically you give CurryPod kind of a brief idea of what the content is that you're going to be teaching. And so, for example, I might say, I'm going to be teaching the text where the red fern grows. And you give it a grade level. You can assign a standard that goes along with it as well. And then CurryPod will generate for you some slides or some lesson delivery slides that have some interactions that are built already into them. And so it's kind of similar in that regard to Pear Deck.
Yeah.
Meaning that students get to like, share their voice on a poll question or share a little bit of writing or something like that.
Right.
But as far as its usability with regards to the lessons that it generates, I would say that it's going to give you a very bare bones output. It will give you some interesting interaction integrations. But like in that example that I just gave you, it's going to give you the entire text of where the red fern grows in one fell swoop, and it's probably going to be a very high level overview of that text rather than digging into specific events that happen in specific chapters or something like that. So that would be the one thought that I had around the usability, is that I feel like it does require teachers to get in there and look at that output and then potentially add to it or adjust it a little bit. I wouldn't say that it's just ready to use as soon as you generate it.
Okay. I am bringing School AI as the opponent. School AI has a freemium account that has a lot of usability within that freemium account. Otherwise, if your school district wants to purchase it, then it doesn't give a price. You have to schedule a call. The integrations for School AI, I think, are a bit lacking too. You can download a lesson plan, which you wouldn't necessarily download the lesson plan, but there are other aspects within School AI besides lesson planning. But to share something out of School AI, you have to either download it or copy and paste it. What I do like about it, though, is that within School AI, it kind of pops a lesson plan into what looks kind of like a Google Doc. So it does have some editing capabilities for formatting and things like that. So it's not that you have to download or copy it as is. You can make some of those edits in there. For the usability, what I like about it is that I think it's really great for a great entry level for teachers who are just getting started. And so it provides a lot of structure to the input that you provide so that your output probably matches more what you are looking for. With anything, I think it's tricky for me to look at a lesson plan and think about how all teachers would look at it. I think it's really important with any type of AI within this lesson planning category that with our professional eye, we keep we look through things and see what's going to work for the students in front of us. So I think that's a little bit tricky to kind of speak to, but what I do know is that it is going to spark maybe some new ideas and provide a flow to the lesson so that you're not just starting completely with a blank slate. It'll provide some of those things in there, but you're still, as a teacher, of course, going to have to add or subtract the things that work best for the kids in front of you. And so that's kind of a cop out, but it's tricky, I think, to speak on how teachers will look at it. So the only thing I'm thinking about when I look at these two is that I like the idea of CuraPod, like generating content for you that's specific to a topic. When we use CuraPod, what I didn't necessarily like is that I felt like, is CuraPod the one we had to get like kids kind of logged into?
Yeah, so
is that
you
right?
provide them a code or whatever that they go to. I think it's join CuraPod, and then they put in the code. So it's very similar to Pear Deck, how they would get started.
Right, they get started with it. I don't know. What do you think about this one?
I do think it goes to something that you kind of alluded to with regards to School AI, is that there are some additional capabilities within School AI.
Right.
That I think if we're looking at the tool from a more holistic perspective, I would say that it would probably be the stronger or more versatile type of tool.
Yeah, I would
agree.
So
I would vote for probably advancing School AI. But what do you think?
Yeah, I tend to agree. The CurryPod thing I think is something to keep our eye on. I don't think when we were investigating it, it was quite there yet for me, but I thought this is really going to have some possibility yet when we played with it. So once again, I think that's when, we just need to wait on it maybe a little bit longer and see what it's going to do. Yeah, how we can use it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And to send it off to with, and it's best light, one thing that we didn't highlight in CurryPod is that there are some options in there for students to receive AI generated feedback. And so as a teacher who taught a lot of writing,
Right.
I think having just volume that students are writing, like just having them write a lot and then being able to receive some sort of feedback on it is really important. And so there are some different features within CurryPod that allow teachers to send out like a writing prompt to students. And so they might generate a short argumentative paragraph about why we should go to a 4-day school week or something like that. And then the AI will provide them feedback on the writing that they provided and give them ideas for how to strengthen that writing. So I do think that's a great feature within CurryPod, and it's continuing to develop. So another one of those things to think about or keep your eye on as you're exploring that particular tool.
Okay, so the score's 2-0 then. On to scaffolding. I'll go first to this one because you went first last time, right?
Yes.
Okay, so scaffolding. When we talked about scaffolding, the tool that I chose was Diffit. Diffit is free I'll tell a little bit about it. So it does generate content, but the aspect I'm looking at it with the lens of a text leveler. Okay, so the cost of Diffit also has a freemium. You can do a text leveler of up to 2,500 words per passage. If you wanted to look into a Diffit individual license, it's $15 a month, or there is a district license that you would have to contact them to find the cost for that. It has integrations it's a paid account. So you can print or download your text leveled passages, or if you have a paid account, it will integrate into Google for you. So all the Google tools, Google Classroom, Google Docs, things like that. As far as the usability, this one's tricky, I think, too, because you get to choose, you can just copy and paste that text right into Diffit and then ask it to do it by grade level. And I think grade level can be kind of interesting to think about because when we usually are within classrooms, it's not really grade level, it's level by level by level. So within a grade level, kids can be kind of all over the place. And so it makes it a little bit tricky, I think, to look at it as a grade level text leveler because kids can be in lots of different places. And that's primarily probably because I come from elementary background. But I do really like the simplicity of that and being able to do something kind of on the fly it's really important for students to be able to have conversations in the classroom. And so if we need them to be reading the same text, this is a way to provide that text for classroom discussion or something like that so that students can kind of have conversations and feel like, oh, I've read this text as well. So I like that aspect of it. The other thing I'll say, just as kind of a side quest, would be that we have also been having some conversations about what this is going to mean legally when we're pulling text from somewhere and inputting it into Diffit and then asking it to spit something out to us. So it's a little gray right now about how long a tool like this will continue to be out in the Wild West. Will there be some legislation about what this means in the future.
Around copyright. And
Around
just
copyright, yes. Yep.
attributing the output to the original source that it was coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I am going to talk a little bit about EduAid.
Okay.
So that's our tool that's going head to head in our scaffolding bracket.
Yep.
Okay, so EduAid is one of those tools that is kind of similar to Magic School in that it's got several different tools built into it. One of those tools is the prior knowledge and scaffolding tool. And so in that particular one, you put in what it is that you're going to be teaching, the standard or whatever, EduAid will then enhance or make your prompt that you've given it a little bit more usable. And then you click Add to Workspace, and it will then generate just a list of ideas that you might try as you're thinking about differentiating this particular assignment or this particular standard. I like the outputs that it creates. I actually think that it's really usable.
Okay.
I like that it breaks down at the beginning just some, hey, here are the prerequisite skills that kids will need in order to engage in this particular task. And then it gives you like 5 or 6 ideas as far as how to scaffold or how to mine students' prior knowledge to lead to a more successful learning experience for students. Some of the output that it generated. So, for example, I said that my students were going to be reading this text, the Othello, and that they were going to be thinking a little bit about character development in that text. And so then it generated a list of types of things that I might try. One of those was an anticipation guide, was what it said, and then it talked a little bit about what an anticipation guide is.
Nice.
So the one thing that's like left me wanting is that it didn't do those extra steps for me. So it gave me the ideas, you know, but then it didn't say, and here's an anticipation guide for you that you might use with Othello. So I would have to put in some additional prompts in order to get probably whatever it was that I was going to use. However, I did find that it was very useful what it did generate as far as thinking about what the prerequisite knowledge would be that students would need, and then thinking about ways to access that prior knowledge and thinking about the areas that they might get like hung up on as they're continuing to dive into that content and how you might mitigate that.
Well, and I do think that EduAid probably wins this scaffolding bracket because if I'm sending out DFID into the sunset, it does a couple things, but it's certainly not as powerful, and we'll get to some of those other things that EduAid does too. But within DFID, it does still generate some content, so I can give it a topic, and it will create some ideas of things for me to do. I can put a link in, and it will also generate what it calls just right resources for those things. But if I'm looking at those, and of course the text leveler is too, if I look at those 3 things that it does, I know that EduAid goes further than that. And so because I know that there's more to it, I think that EduAid probably wins this one.
Yeah. DFID does generate some graphic organizers and things like that too. They populate into Google Docs. However, like you do run up to a paywall with that too. So definitely take a look at DFID, of course.
For sure.
It's a great tool.
It is,
but,
yes.
Knowing where we're going.
Yeah. Is that fair or not? I don't know, but yes, I think so. Okay, so last matchup today is assessment and feedback.
All right.
I think you're up.
I'm up first. Okay, so what I am bringing to the table is Class Companion. And so the cost for this particular tool is it's free for teachers to use and use with students. However, there is some paid school district features. And so one of those features is the ability for teachers to create their own content libraries and then share among the teachers within their particular organization. And also some LMS integration too goes along with that school or district integration or license, sorry. Let's see. As far as what this tool does is that it has built into it like several different types of classes that you might teach. Okay. And so you set up your account, you choose whatever class it is that you teach, and then inside of that class, there's lots of different quick write prompts that students might engage in, or quick task activities that students might engage in. You assign one of those to your students, and so you have them then join your class. And as they work through that particular assignment, they're provided AI feedback and guidance. Okay. And so one example that I saw in there is that there's an AP World History course. The first assignment that's in there, the first writing prompt that's in there is around the Hammurabi Code. You can send that pre-created assignment off to students. They then would enter into the class, work on crafting their essay around that particular topic. Sure. And as they're writing, the AI will give them feedback. Students can also dispute like what the AI says to them. Nice. So like, for example, if they think that the AI is not providing correct feedback or might be hallucinating or making things up, they can dispute that with their teacher. And teachers have the ability to go in and override the feedback that's given by the AI.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, because I had not looked at that one at all. So I appreciated you bringing something that was brand new to me, which also means you're going to have to be the one that decides on whether or not mine wins, because it's going to. Anyway, so assessment and feedback, I bring the tool Brisk to the court. It has a freemium or district purchase ability, which is one of its downfalls. It's either free for you with a paywall or you buy it as a whole district. There is no in between. So that's a big red check mark. I understand that. Integrations, it does work with Google Docs, but that integration where it will actually generate comments within Google Docs, like in the little comment box, is part of the purchase, one of the things that you would purchase within that district license. But otherwise, the way it works is you would have a Google Doc, you can have slides, you click, it's a Chrome extension, and so you turn that little puppy on, and then there are a couple different things, different types of feedback. You can do glows and grows. You can do a rubric criteria. So you upload your rubric for that assignment in, and it will provide feedback against that rubric. And then it also does next steps. So 3 different types of feedback that you can choose as a teacher. And then within that doc, you choose it. It just starts generating feedback for students, and then you can choose what of that feedback you would like to add into comments if you have the free version. If you have the paid for version, it actually puts it into comments within that doc too, which is really nice. I think the feedback is actually really good. I'm super impressed with the feedback that it provides. I used it even with like tables and things like that, and it suggested like, oh, maybe it'd be really great for you to add an image here, or can you tell me there needs to be more information here? And I just played with it on every doc I opened up one day, and I just thought it was interesting to see some of the feedback that it provided, and I thought teachers would really find it useful. And I'll take a story right out of your mouth, and maybe you would prefer to tell it, but I know one of the things that you always say is that it's really hard to provide feedback on like 150 papers, right? And so I heard Gina talk about this the other day to teachers about how, within the first 10 students, you might be giving it your all, and then you just get fatigued about feedback fatigue, right? And so one of the ways to make sure that you're providing useful feedback to students from number 1 all the way to 150 is, asking this tool to help you generate some of that feedback and then using that feedback and deciding what goes best with the paper that's in front of you. So there are a couple other things within Brisk, but I think to me, I think it's really great for teachers and it's going to save a lot of time, to be honest. So what do you think about it? What do you think here between these two?
Between these two?
Yeah.
So I would say my biggest drawback about Class Companion is that it is very much geared towards, or it appears to be marketed towards, older students.
Sure.
Like a lot of the pre-existing classes that are there are AP types of classes, which are great if you're teaching at that level or whatever of those older kiddos. But it just feels like a tool that you would use with older students.
So the audience is just different or minimized anyway, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I love the idea of students getting the opportunity to write like a lot and get feedback on what it is that they write. But I do feel like that might be the one thing that I'm a little concerned about.
Sure.
Plus, like, I do know that Brisk does some additional things.
Yeah.
In addition to providing the feedback, which the feedback is pretty impressive that it does provide.
Yeah.
And in Brisk, you can also, after you've signed up for that free account, you can go through their Brisk teacher, like, I can't think of what
do they
it's
call
called.
it?
It's not ambassador.
It's not.
But their Brisk, it's like their teacher development program. You go through, it's about a 20-minute lesson, and then your access to the premium features is extended for, I think it's like 45 days or maybe it's 50 something. I'm not sure.
It's longer than 0 days.
It's longer than 0 days.
Okay.
Longer than the 7-day trial.
Right. Yes.
I do believe it's 45 though.
Can't find it. I did just see it the other day. Anyway, you get the gist. It's, their educator. It's not that, but it's something like that where you just go through the little bit of training, which isn't a big deal, right? I haven't done it, but you said it only takes like 20 minutes or something like that.
It takes 20 minutes. There's a bunch of videos in there that kind of show the different features and how to use them. And then you can join a Brisk teacher Facebook group, which is actually, there's a lot of interesting things that are happening in there, like teachers talking about how they're using it or asking questions or saying, hey, I'm seeing this issue.
Nice.
What might you do to fix that?
So Brisk wins.
Yeah, I think we're going to advance Brisk.
All
so you're like just way better than me at this, apparently.
Well, it'll be interesting because now we'll have to split up the ones that we're moving ahead, which would be Ghostwrite, School AI, EduAid, and Brisk. So it's going to be interesting to put some of those tools against one another because they will be harder to, compare.
Yeah, narrow them down
Especially
and try to figure out.
Ghostwrite, but we'll figure it out.
Yep.
All right, so next time have the final 4 and figure out what happens next. So until next time.
This has been the EdTech Takeout. We hope it hits the spot.